Thank you everyone for coming tonight. It's our weekly Tuesday night shiur. We also had a Siyum Mishnah Siyum tonight as well. So B'ezrat Hashem, we do this every Tuesday night. If you're not in the WhatsApp group, let us know. We add you to the WhatsApp group. And if you want to sponsor, you want to have another Siyum here, if you finish a Mishnah or a Gemara, let us know. We can also do it. And as you saw downstairs, it was packed. B'ezrat Hashem, we just quickly go through the sponsors. B'ezrat Hashem, Eliyahu ben Giti, Hashem should bless him. He should find the Yeshua that he's looking for. Hashem should give him all the brachot. Really, Hazaka Baruch. B'ezrat Hashem, the Levi Chaim family should have a Hatzlacha. Also, as well as Netaneli ben Rachel. B'ezrat Hashem, Refuah Shlema for Harav Eliyahu ben Malka Saltanat. Also for Ashraf Bat Godrat, Soila Sarah Bat Tetelam, and Tetelam Bat Ruhin Netanel ben Sarachaya. B'ezrat Hashem should give the zivug for Abtin Sasson ben Shoshana, Netanel Yaakov ben Sarah, Gilad ben Mordechai Ariel, Ephraim ben Yosef. Also, Parnas Hashem Bayit Semachot for Avraham Rafael ben Mordechai Ariel, Talia Bat Rivcha, and also from Menachem Elisha ben Aga Asher. Also, I want to say a big mazel tov to Menachem Elisha. He's the one who had the siyum. So, B'ezrat Hashem, to many more. B'ezrat Hashem, every week we should have one of those. Okay, so to translate what Harav was saying, last week and the week before, we're in the Shalom Bayit series. What to do, how to act at home, how to make your home peaceful, rather than a bunch of fighting and divorce, chas v'shalom, all those things. How to make it as easy and peaceful and like Gan Eden as possible. So Harav said that there's obligations towards the man for the woman and the woman towards the man on both sides. One of the 248 positive mitzvot that we have is it's not really a criticize, but it's to kind of make aware if the other person is doing a sin. You're supposed to let them know. If you can help them prevent it or stop it, you're supposed to let them know. And if you don't stop it when you could stop it or prevent it, Harav says then the sin goes onto your head. I think Harav is speaking specifically about the father of the house, I think. Kavod Harav. ما گفتیم فقط مثلا بالا بایت چیزه که بعد مثلا به بقیه بگه که این کار درست نیست اون کار درست نیست. نه هر کسی مثلا دو تا رفیق اگه بگه رفیقش رو کار خرافی میکنه و بهش نمیگه آوونش هم سر اون رفیقه میاد. پس من همه نه فقط بالا بایت.
هر کسی که بتونه بکنه نمیکنه آوونش سر پای گردنش.
Okay, so I take it back. So anybody who's in a situation who sees, it could be a husband to a wife, wife to a husband, friend to friend, that you see that your friend is doing a avera and you can stop him, you can tell him no, maybe he doesn't know, or maybe you can explain to him, and you don't, the sin goes onto the head of that person who didn't just say anything, just stood there quietly. Also, there's ways to do it. You don't just go there and to go to, I don't know, a reformed temple, and I don't want to say that name here, and then just go, you guys are all going to go, this. That doesn't work like that. There's ways, there's rules. You got to know how to do it nicely, calmly. So, Harav, it also says, Harav brought down that it says you have to be very specifically, it says to be very careful not to embarrass that person. Or while explaining to them or criticizing, if you're not careful and that person gets embarrassed, it's a big chet, it's a big avera what you did. Maybe you have to know when to do it also. Harav is saying one of the best times, I think this was more in the household. Husband to wife or wife to husband is on Shabbat night, on the Seudah, after everybody ate, calm down. Then it's not that you start right away saying, hey, by the way, my wife, you messed up on doing this, this, and this. That's not how you do it. It's not directly like that. You go bring a sefer that talks about whatever the sin was, and you start reading from it at the table without calling names, not pointing anyone. Or if the husband did something that was incorrect, the wife should give a sefer to the husband and say, can you read this at the table? Can you read about this? And then like this, it's not a direct head butting heads, and it's more easygoing, so you're not putting as many guards up. Harav's saying this is the best time to do it. Not when on Friday before Shabbat, everybody running around like a headless chicken, here, there, turn on the light, turn off the water, turn on this. Harav says if you go and you criticize someone right then and right there in that time, it could be first of all, they're not going to listen to you. Not only they're not going to listen to you, they might ladge with you, they might, how do you say ladge in English? They might fight with you. Spiteful. They might be spiteful to you. Yeah, they might get like, oh, you telling me now? They get like all confrontational, and they might do the opposite thing. The opposite of what you want to do. But whatever, we got the point. So, Harav says, so basically the time that you say it is very important, and the way that you say it is very important. So Harav is saying a secret here. He's saying many times there's fighting in the house, and you would think the normal thought process is, okay, you never criticize the wife never criticizes the husband, it's okay, quiet, peaceful. Harav is saying the exact opposite. Because you're not telling each other in the correct way, in the correct time, what's being wrong, that's what's causing fights and bringing all the tuma and whatever it is. So Harav says the exact opposite, that if you do, not criticize, but make aware to the other person of what they're doing, this brings a lot of bracha, this strengthens the relationship, it actually creates a bonding, it actually helps reduce the fighting, it's opposite of what everybody thinks. I think Harav said he's going to speak into a Gemara, or he's going to quote a Gemara right now, I believe. Harav is continuing and saying that he's quoting the Gemara in the Mishnah in the Second Shabbat. It says that it's talking about like cattle, like cows, sheep, so on and so forth. That back in the day, that was the port of like transferring, stuff. There wasn't cars and pickup trucks and stuff. It was let's get the gov, let's get the cow, and let's throw a thing on him, and he pulls the thing, and that's how it was. Or they plow the field or whatever. So it says in the Mishnah, Masechet Shabbat, it says specifically, be careful that also your animals don't work on Shabbat, not only the people. So, and if you see that your cow is about to, for example, go on and start plowing a field, you have to stop that cow from doing that thing because you can't break Shabbat either. So it extends out to your animals too. And the Mishnah says that, basically it says that what's okay, what's not okay. Like if you're just putting a leash or putting like something on your animal that it doesn't run away or something, that's not really considered, that's fine. But if there's something that usually carries a load, and you put it on there like a saddle with a bunch of stuff on it that it normally carries a load with, and it's about to go into a public domain from a private domain, that's also, you have to stop the cow, or the sheep, or whatever they're using, or whatever animal they're using. So Harav is bringing down a story that it says there that Rav Elazar ben Azariah was with a cow, or with his cow, and it had a saddle on there for carrying a load. It wasn't just for the sake of the animal doesn't run away.
It was an ornament.
It was an ornament. So it was asur for him to go into the public domain.
Was it only because of beauty? So
It was more of a beauty thing. It wasn't necessarily for keeping the animal from running away or anything like that. Anyway, so what happened was this cow starts going to a public domain, and he didn't stop it. He doesn't stop the animal from doing that, but we just learned that it's asur. Anyway, so what it says is, as the Gemara continues, we find out that it wasn't necessarily Rav Elazar ben Azariah's cow, so it wasn't really his responsibility. But because he could have criticized his neighbor, it was really their neighbor's cow, and because he could have let them know that this thing that you're putting on for beauty, it's an ornament, it's asur, you have to be careful, they can't carry it, it's not for making sure that the animal doesn't run away or whatever, it's asur on Shabbat. Because he didn't go and he tell them, it's as if it was his cow and he gets the sin. Why? Because all he did is he didn't let the neighbor know that, and he could have let the neighbor, and he could have stopped them, but he didn't. He could have let them know. So Harav is saying from here we learn, obviously not to bring this into our days where we don't have cows and sheep and stuff in our backyard. We live in a house where the father of the house, the mother of the house, they have each other, there's children, or whatever it may be. You have to be very careful to make sure that you let, like we said before, in a nice, calm, super cool manner, to let your spouse know, your spouse lets you know what you're doing is wrong. Also, Harav is saying that a leader of a community, a Rav of a community, he's in charge of letting the community know what they're doing. If they make mistakes, the Rav of the community, it's on his head. If he can stop them, he doesn't stop the Sibur. So that's why Harav says many times you see Sadiqim, pure rabbis, suffering, going through many hardships, going through Isurim. Why? It's not because of their own sins. It's because they could have stopped others from doing sins, but they didn't, for whatever reason. Therefore, those sins go on his head, and he gets punished for those sins. So there's some book that Harav quoted. He didn't say the name. He just said that in some book it says that husbands should never criticize their wives. Shalom Bayit problem. You should never say anything. You should let them do whatever they want to do. Or the wife should never criticize the husband because it causes fighting. And Harav saying this is absolute wrong. It's exactly the opposite. In a nice, cool, respectful, with a smile on your face, at the right time. If you go and you explain to your spouse what or give them a book after they're eating in a nice, cool, calm, and collective way, it actually builds the relationship and causes for you guys to speak and have a conversation and to build and have more respect for each other. It's exactly the opposite of what you may think or what it says in some books that are not correct. So Harav continues saying that basically something else that many people don't know, they're not aware of, that Shlomo HaMelech, He brought he got many of the Moabite Egyptian girls that were from the Moab, and brought them and married them, right? So many people know also Harav is quoting the Rav Chida. The Chida, I guess, Rav saying said the same thing, that Shlomo Melech thought, many people don't know this, that if he brings the girls and basically marries them, brings them into his household, has kids with them or whatever it is, that he's going to do a tikkun for the world. I don't know, he's going to release a nitzotzot or whatever it was. I heard this too before. So his intention wasn't to go and for physical things. It was more of to do a tikkun for the world, to bring Mashiach. So they wouldn't have to go through all this galut. That was his intention, that was his kavanah. But he made a mistake. What was his mistake? He brought women, a lot of the women that he brought into his household, they were idol worshippers. And what did they do? They took many idols and they built idols in his place. And they started bringing korbanot for the idols, lighting incense, worshipping, all those kind of things in Shlomo Melech's castle. So the Navi, it says that Shlomo Melech did idol worship. What does that mean, he did idol worship? We know that he didn't do idol worship. Shlomo Melech was not an idol worshipper. So we see that because he didn't do idol worship, but because he didn't stop his wives from doing idol worship, it's as if he did it. What does Shlomo Melech think? That no, because of Shalom Bayit, if I'm going to go tell them, they're going to get upset, they're going to start fighting with me, they're going to turn into a whole fight. This is completely wrong. He should have went and stopped them right away, but in a nice way. Harav said specifically, he said, listen, you're going to stop worshiping idols in my house, I'm going to kick you out. With a hard thing. So then I think Harav is quoting Gemara Shabbat also. I think he said, what was the thing that he said?
They were cut off from the world.
Yeah, no, I want to know what the page was. כבוד הרב, גופים חטא למד קוף עמוד ב' گفتیم اونجایی که تو گمارا که راجع به شلوم ملک صحبت میکنه بود خط
نه گفت دالت عمود ب
گفت دالت عمود ب
سنهدرین گفت دالت عمود ب
Sanhedrin, I apologize. Kuf Dalet and Amud Bet. Over there it says in the Mishnah, we know where they say that all the Jews have Olam Haba, all the Jews have Chelek Olam Haba, but there's those that don't have. Also, we know we're going to see soon. And there's also there's those that have the authority to say who goes Olam Haba, who loses that privilege. So Harav is continuing and saying there was a few that we know. For example, Yeravam ben Nevat, he made the Jews sin very badly. And we know he lost it. He lost his Olam Haba. So it's not all the Jews are guaranteed Olam Haba. Also, who decides that who gets Olam Haba, who doesn't? It doesn't need like a super high authority. Who's going to come and just say you have, you don't? So the Anshe Knesset HaGedolah, they had the power to determine, hey, you do, you don't. If they say you don't, Hashem went and listened to them and agreed with them. So the Gemara over there, it says that it doesn't specifically say Shlomo HaMelech out of kavod for him, right? In kind of a code, it's speaking about Shlomo. I think Harav said in Rashi, it says that it's Shlomo Melech, who they're speaking about. But out of kavod, it didn't say his name right out there. They wanted to say that the Anshe Knesset Gedolah wanted to determine that Shlomo Melech has no Olam Haba. So what happened was that as they were trying to say these words, the image of Shlomo Melech comes in front of them. I'm sorry, in image of David comes in front of them and says, guys, please. They ignore that. After that, I guess a fire from the sky comes and burns the stuff on the tables and stuff. On the chair, it burns. Again, I guess the Anshe Knesset Gedolah didn't pay attention because, idol worship, he didn't stop them. It's as if he did it. Then finally, I think a voice came from Shemaim, Harav said, and it said, I think Shlomo Melech spent all this time building the Beit HaMikdash. He only spent less time building his own house. Come on, why don't you pay attention to this? How much kavod he put for the Jews, didn't pay attention. And I think the last thing was someone came and said, right? I didn't grab, I was writing it down what Rabbi said. The last thing was somebody came and said, no? כבוד הרב, גופתים بعد از اینکه یه بات کد اومد که گفت شلومو ملک این همه وقت گذاشت بیت المقدس رو درست کرد بعد از اون کی اومد؟ یکی دیگه هم اومد بعد از اون
دیگه هم اومد که شما اجازه ندارید که شلومو ملک را محروم بکنید
یعنی یه بات کد بود؟
بله
So then I guess a pot call comes and says, you guys can't do this. You guys can't do this to Shlomo Melech. He went, he gave Mishlei, how many things that he did? He gave us Mishlei, Kohelet, Shira Shirim. We see, now what's the point of what Harav is trying to make about this? We see someone as high as him, who had all these things, still, even on somebody on his level, the Anshe Knesset Gedolah wanted to take away his own Haba because he could have went and stopped his wives from doing avodah zarah in his house, and they didn't because he didn't want to criticize them, because he didn't want to start a fight or whatever, because he was scared. Harav is saying, when Harav is saying, guys, it's very important to make sure that if you see your wife or your husband sees your wife sees the husband or so on and so forth about to do a sin or doing a sin, how to not criticize but make aware in a very nice way, without confronting, without fighting, being super nice, so that you don't get that sin. And also you build a relationship by exactly opposite of what you think. You think if I go and I tell my wife, hey, what you're doing is wrong, she's going to get into a fight. Well, maybe if you do it then, or when she's super busy, or before Shabbat when everyone's running around, yeah. But after, when Shabbat is there, everybody's eating the meal, everybody ate, everybody's relaxed, Shabbat is here, there's no running around anymore, then you don't even directly say. You bring a book or something, and you start reading about that book, about that thing that your wife did, or the thing that the husband did. The wife can ask the husband, can you please read about this? Rather than directly confronting. And like this, they get the idea, okay, maybe I shouldn't have done it or do what I did or whatever, so on and so forth. So we see, Harav is saying, we see how important it is to stop and to really prevent others, if possible, from doing sins. Just like we saw how Shlomo HaMelech went through all this, somebody on his level. Okay, so Harav gave us another example in the Gemara Mesechah Avodah Zarah. I think he said Rav Chanel ben Taradon. Ben Taradion. He would say that, I guess he was pronouncing Hashem's names with the Nukudot. That's what he was saying with all the things. In order to teach others, he wasn't doing it just to say Hashem's name. But I guess he wasn't supposed to do this publicly in front of people, in front of other people that were supposed to, they were not supposed to listen, or to get the idea that it's okay to go and start pronouncing Hashem's name with Nukula, whatever it is. So what happened is that he ended up actually getting punished really badly. He ended up getting burnt as his punishment, and his wife also got hung. So why did his wife get hanged? What did his wife do? Harav is bringing all these proofs from the Gemara one by one to show us his wife got punished because she could have confronted him and said, hey, in a nice way, in a nice time, what you're doing is incorrect. You can't go and say these things in front of people. People are going to think it's okay to say them, and they'll start saying it. Because she knew this, even though he was a Amora in the Gemara, he was huge, Tom in the Gemara. He was, he was somebody who was super respectable. But it doesn't matter, because his wife could have went and told him and confronted him. She didn't. She ended up getting hung also as a punishment. This is just, Harav just bringing us proofs of how important it is to let the other person know if they're making a mistake, to stop it if possible, in a nice way, in a nice time, not fighting and going crazy.